everyone, and welcome to the 7th edition of the Trade and Investment Forum of the Union for the Mediterranean. I'm very, very pleased to see you here, and isn't this a wonderful setup? My name's Natasha Walker, and it's my great pleasure to be your moderator and your host throughout the day, where we will be looking at disruption and how we're navigating that. We'll be making sure that we understand how we're building integration. So we're looking at challenges and we're looking at opportunities and how we're going to be reshaping trade and investment over the coming years in the region. We do have interpretation, so if you want to use interpretation, English is 1, French is 2, Arabic is 3, and Spanish is 4. And I would encourage everyone, please, to speak slowly so that our wonderful interpreters who are joining us online will be able to follow us well. Now, this is a very, very special year for us to be here together. We have the reaffirmation of the Barcelona process, and I think that's something that you can all give yourselves and also the Union for the Mediterranean a very big round of applause for. Thank you. And also, we have a new strategic vision for the UFM, which is going to be able to guide us, 43 countries, over the course of the coming years. And therefore, it's my great pleasure to invite Her Excellency Meltem Büyük-Karakaş, Deputy Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean, to please take the floor and open this forum.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear colleagues, a very good morning to you all. It's my honor to welcome you here in Barcelona to the premises of the Union for the Mediterranean Secretariat. I'm very pleased to be amongst this distinguished group of partners, speakers, and participants to this year's edition of the forum as we mark the 30th anniversary of the Barcelona process. This is the 7th edition of the forum in 7 successive years, and I do not think there can be a stronger statement than this to exemplify our commitment and determination to promote trade and investment facilitation and integration in our region as a prerequisite of inclusive progress. The Mediterranean, the way we know it today, would be incomprehensible without the legacy of trade. The Minoan thalassocracy, the Phoenician purple traders, Venetian and Genoese merchant ships, the Spanish galleons, they all brought to our region more than just goods and commodities, because with trade comes exchange of every single element that shapes the human condition. Even the world's first stock exchange was inspired by the activities of a Dutch trade company, marking the birth of the shareholder and the institutionalization of risk-taking, profit-sharing, and resource pooling, in short, the very foundation of investment. It takes a shared vision, determination, and commitment to land down the Mediterranean dream of peace, stability, and security. And it takes much hard work, convergence, and collaboration to build regional integration, but unfortunately it takes only one reckless and disruptive action to wipe out long years of joint efforts. Integration has become a meta-narrative of potential for our region, but this integration is fragile. It is just like the flame of our Mediterranean promise, constantly exposed to the winds of change. This is exactly why we need to take hold of the reins of that change into our hands, harness it, make it favorable and conducive to the economic integration that would make our region more resilient, more competitive, and better positioned to untap its full potential. Since the 1995 Barcelona process, efforts have always been underway to promote trade and investment integration. And now we need a renewed commitment and fit-for-purpose frameworks and modalities to co-deliver on the promise. Anchored to this conviction, the UfM Secretariat had undertaken a comprehensive exercise to reform its modus operandi and contribute tangibly to the implementation of the new Pact for the Mediterranean, together with its partners, leveraging its know-how, its convening power, and its agility and ability to deliver even in times of conflict. Last month, the UfM Regional Forum that brought together ministers of foreign affairs from the region marked the endorsement of the UfM Vision Statement 2025, reconnecting the Mediterranean back to the core, forward with ambition. The new vision, developed through an extensive consultative process, reaffirms the UfM's role as the region's unique platform for dialogue, confidence building, and collective action. It centers on three core dimensions of connectivity: connecting people through education, mobility, skills, and inclusion; connecting countries through dialogue, climate resilience, energy and water security; and connecting economies through trade, investment, infrastructure, and digital cooperation to unlock shared prosperity. We look forward to a new chapter of cooperation and integration in the region, guided by this vision and propelled by the active engagement of the member states and the entire ecosystem, including you all. Back to integration, our UfM Progress Report on regional integration that came out last September, developed by OECD with the financial support of the German Development Cooperation, is a logical point of departure, because it maps realities, identifies best practices and areas of deficiency, and presents actionable policy recommendations to improve economic integration in the domains of trade, financial markets, infrastructure connectivity, movement of people, as well as higher education and research. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to fruitful exchanges and actionable ideas, which I'm sure we would have thanks to the caliber that we have in this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Excellency. And let's have a deeper look before we have our long-awaited keynote about what's awaiting us for the rest of the day. So we have 3 panels later, and as the title of this forum suggests, we will be looking at disruption, at integration, and at reshaping trade and investment. And as ever, the opportunities for you and the objective is for you to have a network, so there'll be lots of time in breaks for you, and also learn from the practice of all the experts that we have in the room. You talked about actionable ideas, which I think is exactly what this forum is there for us to do. So I'll be looking in our forums, in our panels, to try and get to those how does it really work questions. One thing that we would also like to do is invite everyone in this room to take part. And there are a lot of you, so that won't just be by raising your hands. You can also raise your hands, but also by using a digital tool. And we would like to invite you to now have a look and join us on Slido. You can see on the back of your chairs, you can see that you have a QR code, or if you're in the front row, it's on your chair itself. You can also just use the QR code that you can see on the screens, or join at slido.com. This is a digital tool which will make sure that any questions you have of the panels get to me and I can pose them to the panels, but also I can ask you questions. And I think our keynote, Dr. Saleh, you would also like to know who's in the room. So let's find out. The first question that I have for you is, which organization or organizations, because you may have several hats, are you representing here today? So you can read them all. They change. At the moment, it's very well balanced. Private sector is in the lead at the moment. Our national government has taken over. Private sector's back there. Business trade associations, national government, international institutions, civil society, excellent. Local regional government. All right, we have a very nice balance. We also have some representatives of education, academia, and science. Brilliant. As a really, really great. And if we're going to be networking, we need to be networking out of our own silos. So this is fantastic. Let me ask you about where your work is mostly based in. Is it based mostly in the northern region of the Mediterranean, the southern region of the Mediterranean, or somewhere else? This is a nice balance between north and south. Great. So we have slightly more whose work is based in the southern region of the Mediterranean. And one more question just now. Which two forces, this is a content question, have most shaped trade and investment in your country this year? You can choose two. The green transition is right up there. Followed by digital transformation and geopolitical tensions. The supply chain disruptions and logistics reliability are affecting over a quarter of you as well. Very interesting. Okay, that's just for us to have a little bit more of an idea of who's in the room and what sort of disruptions or forces have you experienced. And I think that's a very nice backdrop for our keynote speaker. It's with great, great pleasure, Dr. Gehan Saleh, Your Excellency, for you to be here to address us. You are the Chief Advisor for the Prime Minister of Egypt and University Professor of Economics. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a profound honor to address you today at this distinguished gathering of the Union of the Mediterranean. We meet at a defining moment, the world marked by uncertainty, yet by unprecedented possibility as well. Our Mediterranean has always been more than a sea. It has been a living bridge between continents, peoples, and ideas. Today, as we navigate disruption, we have the chance to redefine the bridges, to make it a channel for resilience, sustainability, and shared prosperity. The global economy remains in transition. Geopolitical tensions, the configuration of global supply chains, the technological acceleration, and the climate imperative have all reshaped trade dynamics. According to the IMF World Economic Outlook, October 2025, the global GDP growth rate is projected around 3.1% in 2025, with trade volume growth modest at 2.8%. Inflationary pressure have eased, but inequality and divergence between advanced economies and emerging markets also have persisted. For the Mediterranean region, the shocks expose vulnerabilities, but also highlight our collective strengths. We are uniquely positioned, linking Europe's demand with Africa's potential, Asia's innovation, with the Middle East energy. Allow me now to turn to Egypt's experience. Now, despite the external headwinds, our economy continues to show resilience. Recent IMF and World Bank figure indicates that Egypt's real GDP growth rate is expected to reach 4.3% in the fiscal year 24-25. Actually, this is according to the IMF. However, recently our Ministry of Planning and the CAPMAS, which is the agency for central mobility, has shown that we have, for the last period, 5% growth rate. So we're expecting that next year it's going to be beyond what the IMF has expected. Growth rate is, as I mentioned, now inflationary is trending downward, fiscal consolidation is advancing, and structural reforms are deepening. Egypt has undertaken bold steps to enable the private sector-led growth, simplifying licensing, improving transparency, and accelerating digital transformation in public services. Our exports to the European Union surpassed $30 billion in 2024, with the EU remaining Egypt's largest trading partner, accounting for 20% of total trade and 27% of exports. The government investments in renewable energy and logistics is positioning Egypt as a green energy and transport hub, connecting Africa, the Mediterranean, and Europe through the Suez Canal economic zone. Across the UfM region, the story is similar: significant potential, yet under-realized. Trade in ground within southern Mediterranean still represents barely 5.5% of total exports, while potential studies of the UNCTAD and the International Trade Center suggest that closer integration could launch over 19 billion in additional regional trade and more than 108 billion in extra exports to the EU in 2029. This gap actually what could be our opportunity. By harmonizing standards, simplifying customs, and investing in connectivity, both physical and digital, we can transform fragmentation into strategy and synergy. Egypt strongly supports initiatives under the UfM to enhance trade corridors, regional value chains, and cross-border investments in sustainable industries. Sustainability is now the new competitiveness. Egypt's renewable capacity has more than doubled since 2019. Multi-landmark projects as Bimban Solar Park and the expansion of the wind power in the Gulf of Suez. Our goal is to generate 42% of electricity from renewable energy by 2030. But this transition is not ours alone. The Mediterranean can become a global green energy corridor, exporting clean power to Europe, attracting private capital, and creating high-quality jobs. Regional investments in renewable energy and low-carbon industries has the potential to exceed 45 billion by 2030 if supported by predictable policies and standard infrastructure. Economic transformation is not only about infrastructure, it's about people as well. The digital economy is expected to contribute nearly 15% of GDP Southern Mediterranean countries by 2030. Egypt is investing heavily in digital skills, fintech innovation, and all applications in public services, bridging the gap between technology and inclusion. Our youth represent both our challenge and our strengths. If we empower them with skills and opportunity, the Mediterranean will not only adapt it to disruption, but also lead it. Looking ahead, the next 5 years will be crucial. We must move from policy dialogue to joint action, fostering regional industrial clusters, mutual investment funds, and innovation partnerships. Egypt Vision 2030 aligns closely with the UfM's agenda for regional integration. Anchored in 3 pillars: economic resilience, environmental sustainability, and social inclusion. If we build trust, reduce barriers, and create predictable frameworks, the Mediterranean can become a center of gravity for sustainable trade and investment, not a periphery global growth. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mediterranean has always been a crossroads of civilizations, a place where cultures met not to compete but to create. Today, our task is to make it once again a crossroads of peace, innovation, and inclusive prosperity. Trade is not only an exchange of goods, it's exchange of trust and vision. Investment is not not only capital, it is confidence in the future. And when we invest in our people, especially our women and youth, we are building true infrastructure of growth, human potential. Let us navigate disruption together, build integration and courage, and reshape our shared future with hope and purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe I could just keep you here very briefly, because I'm sure that there are people here who may have a question for you. I certainly do. I would love to hear more about the building trust. So do you have any examples of how that has actually worked in practice?
Yeah, actually, building trust is very important.
Can we have the microphone back on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Building trust is very important, and that is, of course, through transparency. Now, once you have transparency by showing all the rules and regulations and by showing the future and the strategy is really important. We have to have sustainability of policies, and you have to give the vision to the participants in the economy so they know where they are going to go. By that, you build the trust. You have to be very transparent, show the people and show institutions where you're heading so they can build their policies upon to the expectations of what we give.
And that, I guess, digitalization will help
Yes,
us
of
with
course.
that
Of course, of course.
on all levels.
Of course.
Right. Anyone have a question, would like to ask Dr. Saleh anything about her very specific stance coming from Egypt and having that access to the Prime Minister? I have several questions. You talked about the under-realized potential.
Yes.
This is something that we've been talking about a long time, and there is such a huge potential. You mentioned women and youth. So what are the best ways of tapping into that unrealized potential?
Investment in youth and women, enabling them, give them the chance to participate in all aspects, give them the chance also to be part of all events, and give them very good education. By that, you are going to empower them and make them part of the economy. Now, in the Mediterranean, in Egypt especially, we have like about more than 40% of our population under the age of 30.
Yeah.
So imagine, these are the builders of the future. So we need to invest in them, as we have invested in infrastructure, roads, and we made the country ready for investment. We have to invest also in the future, which is investing in youth and empowering women.
And what works? What works best if we're going to really empower youth?
First of all, to empower youth, you have to give them very good education so they can be sure about themselves when they join. And then when we start making projects, we have to give like a chance for the youth to be part of it. We have to give them a chance to be leaders. We have to give them a chance to be in the policy making as well.
Right.
So while in the government, for example, while forming the government and the parliament, you have to have people under the age of 40 and 30 to be participants in order to give them the chance and also encourage others to participate. Because in recent years, we have found that many youth, actually, they stay away from the political life. They stay away from participating and engaging. But actually, we need to work on that, give them the power, give them the education, give them the chance, give them the opportunity in order to be part of it and allow them to express themselves well.
Right, and not speak to them, but actually have them as part of the policy making. Just in terms of policy making, you talked about the need for predictable policy. So how are we doing? Are we moving up? Are we getting more predictable? Or as complexity rises, things become...
Complexity is rising for sure. I mean, for many years, we've been talking about globalization and the beauty of globalization and trade and have free trade and so on. But now we have fragmentation and globalization. And we have the big entities that used to talk about globalization and about free trade. They're going back to talk about being closed. Now, that kind of fragmentation actually is very dangerous, Because at the end of the day, it's a kind of delay for the movement. It's a kind of delay for economic improvement. Because again, what you need to have is people, it's a win-win situation. You need to be engaging in trade. You need to be engaging in, again, the regional integration in order to get use of the potential and the unlocked potential. No country has all resources. Each country has its own competitiveness or its own competitive advantage. So by integration, you're going to unlock the potential and you're going actually to reach much faster the goals. Not the goal of a single country, but for the region and for the whole world as well.
And despite what we're seeing globally in terms of moving back to a protectionist stance, are you seeing that there's still a drive in our region for the integration?
Yes, of course. Because again, if you go back, I mean, if the whole world is going back, that's giving a chance for Mediterranean countries in order to step in. Now, Mediterranean countries, maybe they were not actually engaging that much, but now they will have the chance to move in. I mean, industries can move from other countries, China, India, to the Mediterranean, to Africa, because now they need to have access to other markets, and then by engaging regionally, they can have the access to the markets.
Right, so using the disruption to really step up.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give you two magic wands. The first magic wand is in the direction of the UfM. What are you going to invite the UfM to do with your magic wand?
Well, actually, now I heard that the UfM has a new strategy. Now, that new strategy, of course, shows that the UfM is very dynamic.
Right.
The UfM is looking at what's happening in the world and trying to adapt to that. So again, I would invite and give them the magic stick to the UfM and talk about more integration, like what we're here doing today. Talk about more integration, more getting together, more cross-border, more actually exchange of everything, exchange of ideas, exchange of strategies, exchange of human people in order to move forward.
It really is on that human level. The second magic wand is going to go to a woman in Egypt who is maybe not yet an entrepreneur, but what could you do? How could you help her?
Well, I have a different idea about women engagement that most women maybe do not like. Because I see women, once they get the chance and once they get empowered, they will excel. It doesn't have to be by specifying a certain quota, because I always hear that since we do not have enough participation of women, so let's have a quota. Let's have a quota in the parliament, let's have a quota in the government, let's have a quota in institutions. And I believe actually this is a disgrace for women to be just a number, to be part as a quota, but actually they do have potential and opportunities. Once they get well educated, once they have the chance to participate, they will excel. I mean, it doesn't have to be by imposing or forcing. Just give them the opportunity. Just try to reduce the barriers.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Which barriers are you going to reduce?
For example, if they are living remotely, do not have access to universities or schools, then what we need to do is to provide good transportation, safe environment so they can go to work, they can go to schools. Maybe they have some kind of social places where they can leave their kids in order to participate, but not by pushing them to be part of a number. I always believe that they are always hard workers. They can do well, and they don't need to be just a quota. They need to have the opportunity to study well and to work hard and then make the choice whether they want to participate or they do not want to participate. But we need to empower them first.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else? Otherwise, thank you so much, Dr. Saleh.
Thank you very much.
And we will be building on a lot of the optimism that we've just heard, how we can use the disruption that we're seeing across the world. You do have a question. We do have a question. Dr. Saleh, is that okay if we, would you like to join me again? We do have please. Oh, do you have a microphone? Wonderful. Could you say your name, sir, please? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Do you need?
Yes.
In English? English? Hold on, maybe this one works.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la
Thank you
conseillère.
very much,
C'est professeur Kamal Choumi de l'Université
Professor
de Rabat.
Kamala Shoumi,
J'ai une
University
petite,
of Rabat.
question.
I have a
Vous
question
avez parlé de le taux
because
de
actually you
développement
spoke about the
annuel,
development rate, annual
4%, je pense.
annual
Mais
development
j'aimerais
rate
bien savoir
up
quels
until
sont les
4%. I
efforts,
would like to
surtout
know which are the
mais
efforts
les efforts
that are
techniques en
deployed
Égypte, surtout dans le
in
secteur de l'économie non
Egypt
formelle.
in the
Quelle est la relation directe
informal
avec le taux de
economic
développement annuel?
sector, and
Merci.
which is the development rate in the and on a yearly basis. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. A very good question, actually. Most of developing countries, they have an informal sector for sure. But what makes them informal is that they are afraid of being formal. Maybe paying taxes, maybe paying fees, and so on. Now, for that, we have issued a law for the small and medium enterprises and for also the informal sector if they join, for tax exemption and tax relief for some years so they can actually start being part of the economy. So what we need to do is to make the informal unafraid to become formal. And by that, you are going to make that engagement. Now, in Egypt, we had structural reforms. And for these structural reforms, one of them was, again, making empowerment for the private sector, getting small businesses to be part of the economy, and giving the incentives for these small, medium enterprises and informal sector to be part of the economy.
Thank you so much. We have another question. Yes, please. Could I ask you to pass the microphone? Thank you.
Bonjour, Younes Boumaz.
Good morning, Younes de University in Morocco. So my question is related to the environment of the international trade over the last 2 years. We had geopolitical problems, conflicts related to the blockage of the Suez Channel and sea routes. And my question is related to the environment in Egypt. Which are the measures that are implemented by the Egyptian government? Given this situation, given the current situation, which is the impact on SMEs, namely, this is my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Yes, Suez Canal is very important and it's a hub. But of course, with the political tension, it's vulnerable. I mean, it stops. I mean, we got a reduction in the dollar flow from the Suez Canal with about like 60% drop, which affected the inflow of foreign currency in Egypt. But again, I mean, we cannot do something about it, but till the political tension is reduced, and we're back again. Now we're back again, and recently we have announced that again, ships are moving safely, and we're getting again the flow of the foreign currency from the Suez Canal. But usually, in building the model for growth, you have to put the disruption, and you have to put the uncertainty into account. You have to take that into consideration because we have experienced that. So we don't know when is the next step, when is that going to happen. So you have also to work on potential opportunities that are being not yet practiced, and you have to rely on them, and you have to give them more chance to work if other external factors happen. So external factors, they are given, and you have to take them into the equation. But you need to compensate that with the internal. So you work, for example, on localization of industry. You work on more industrialization. You work on building stronger supply chain and fit yourself in the global supply chain. And actually, we have a very successful story in Morocco. Morocco has done that, and has shown resilience in the Middle East and in the era because of this, because they relied on industrialization, they relied on localization, they relied on the regional rather than the international. So if you get an external shock, then you're building upon the potential that you have domestically and locally.
And that's a topic we'll be picking up on in our first panel as well with you. Thank you so much for your question. One more. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. And for all of our panels, feel free not just to raise your hand, you can also use the Slido, where you can ask questions, give comments, and we'll be able to answer those.
Right,
Again,
thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
That's fine. All right. Now, the UfM. Who knows the Union for the Mediterranean backwards? One hand, two hands, three hands. Brilliant. We'd like to make sure that we have a level playing field on how much and how well we know what the UfM is doing in the area of trade and investment, and that's why we'd like to invite you to watch a short video. Which will be coming.
In the heart of the Mediterranean, the UfM is connecting economies, empowering businesses, and driving inclusive growth. Through its Secretariat, the UfM promotes trade and investment across its 43 member states, bridging Europe, North Africa, the Balkans, and the Middle East. Across the years, UfM workshops, trainings, conferences, and forums have allowed thousands of stakeholders to exchange best practices and forge partnerships. Key initiatives include the trainings on rules of origin and supply chain regulations conducted in 6 countries, equipping public and private sector actors with the tools they need to navigate global markets. These trainings aren't just technical, they're strategic. They're building trust, transparency, and regional resilience. From fostering regional integration to modernizing supply chains, the UfM supports policies that unlock sustainable development. With a strong focus on youth, women, and SMEs, the UfM is creating a level playing field, fostering and facilitating inclusive trade and investment growth. Beyond connection, it's transformation. Trade, trust, progress. Powered by the Union for the Mediterranean.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, exactly. Gives us a nice overview of all the very specific activities that the Union for the Mediterranean is doing. Before we go to break and give you the opportunity to network, and we'll have a group photo as well, we'd like to ask one question for us all to debate on and to think about. And the question that I have is also in Slido. I'm going to start it now, but please don't answer yet. Is here. What is one factor that most determines whether trade or investment decisions in your country actually move in the right direction this year? So this is really looking at not just talking about things, but doing what we've also heard from both of our speakers this morning, getting actionable, doing things, putting the rubber on the road. So what is it that it depends on? Please don't answer yet. I'd like you to turn to your neighbor, someone who speaks a language that you can also understand, maybe someone you don't know, that would be ideal, and just spend about 4-5 minutes comparing and contrasting. What is the one factor that your country needs? Maybe it's a different one to the one that your neighbor needs. And when you've come to some ideas, you can enter them in Slido, and then we'll be able to see all together. So just turn around. The best thing is if you don't know the person that you're talking to, introduce yourselves, and then give us some answers to this question. Thank you. Let's have the Slido question back up so everyone can see it, please. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll never find that spot. You haven't spoken about it yet? Okay, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Okay, now I'm going to come in. Sorry for interrupting you, but thank you for all of the ideas. One question: who has spoken to someone they didn't know already just now? Well done. Okay, well done. Keep that up in the breaks, because that's what we're also here for. So some of the things that I've picked up, I think the word political stability, those two words together came up over and over again. We can wish for that. But what I've also seen is that it's not just about the political stability, it's about what the politicians are deciding. So the whole governance around trade integration policies, but also price stability, for example, and very important, the green and digital sector, where people are saying we need trade and industry to be strongly aligned to that. I also heard from some people diversifying the economy and including the informal economy. We also just spoke to that briefly. More business and investment. So we're talking a lot, I think, about confidence. Someone also said, how can we increase confidence in investment? That's something I'd like to talk to you about later. And quite a few have said we need evidence-based research, research and development, really understanding the business needs before we try and translate those into policy. Then obviously we have transparency on rules and regulations, the technology, we need the digitalization, and structural reform and justice, just to name some of the things that I've been seeing coming up. So thank you. Very, very exciting. A good backdrop, I think, so far for our panel discussions. When we come back after the break, we will be delving deeper into what those global disruptions mean for particularly SMEs. Also, thank you to you, Ewan, for giving us that question. When we now break, we will first of all go to have the family photo. We will not, please, go and get a coffee or go to the bathroom. You can all do that in about 4 minutes. We will all go, please, for the family photo, and then we'll see you back here at 10:15. 10:15. First of all, family photo. Everyone, please. properly. Yes, and you. Could you sit here later? Not now, but when I ask you to come up. This one. Exactly. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Welcome back, welcome back. Do come and take a seat. I've been a little bit mean with the break time, but I think we had quite a long break. So bringing you back just before 10:45. While we're waiting for people to take their seats, let me introduce you to someone who's very, very diligently listening to what's going on. It's Blanche Ellis. Just stand up, Blanche, and say hi. You get an applause already as well. People are like, what's she doing? So Blanche is making notes of what we're talking about. And at the end of the day, I believe there will be one picture depicting all of the main things that we've said. Do you want to give us a little sneak preview of where we are right now? If the tech team are ready, let's have a look at what Blanche is drawing. Okay, here we go. So what, can we see it on these ones as well? Do these ones? I can't read it very well. But we've got the UFM vision in the middle. That's where it belongs. How can we use the disruption? I think that was one of the really important discussions that we had already. The fragmentation and globalization. All right. Thanks so much, and keep up the good work to remind us at the end of the day of all the brilliant things that we've been talking about. All right. Whoops. Let me just pick this up. Here we go. All right, so we're about to start with our first of 3 panels. Our first panel will be looking more closely at what the global disruption that we've been talking about actually means for SMEs, what its repercussions are in the UFM region. We will be starting with some Slido polls because we'd like to know a little bit more about you before we start on this topic. And then it's going to be our great honor to have a scene setter by first Under-Secretary of State, Mr. Abdelaziz El Sharif. He's head of the Egyptian Commercial Service in the Egyptian Ministry of Investment and Foreign Trade. So before we kick that off, let's learn a little bit more about you. So please could you get your smartphones or whatever it is that you use to go online. And I'm asking the question on Slido, to what extent has business in your country been negatively affected by global trade disruption and its repercussions? You have the options from not at all, there's been no negative effects, or somewhat negatively, very negatively, or disastrously. So at the moment I'm seeing no, we do have some disastrously. Doesn't surprise me. Okay, but we have a lot of negative. We have no one who says not at all. I think that's basically really creating a sense of urgency in this room. We need to know how we're going to use this disruption. Thank you. And another question for you, and now this is a content question. We'd like to know how businesses in your country are currently adapting to global trade disruptions. This is basically talking about the resilience of the organizations, of the businesses. What are they doing? Let's just hear from you. What sort of things are businesses doing to adapt? They're innovating back to local markets, diversifying, reviewing their business models, expanding their markets. What else are they doing? Finding new routes, going green. Lots of adaptation and innovation here, focusing on SMEs individually with their own knowledge and vision without real government support. That's going to be very interesting to talk about. Where's this link between policy and the businesses themselves? New partnerships is coming up here. All right, That's great. So I think what this is showing us that, yes, businesses are in fact adapting to the disruptions which are affecting all of the countries in this room, according to the poll that we've just seen. All right, thank you. Let me just put that on hold and now come to our scene setter. It's a great pleasure to hear from you, Abdelaziz El Sharif. What you think we should be focusing on in our discussions on what the disruptions are having in terms of effects and how we can positively use them as an opportunity. Oh, yes. Simple questions. Would you come up here? Ladies and gentlemen, Abdelaziz El Sharif. Exciting.
Thank you very much. Actually, I feel proud to be the first male speaker today.
True.
Okay. Yeah. That proves the... Yeah. Maybe next time we can talk about male empowerment.
Some quotas, perhaps.
Everybody speaks about women empowerment. I don't think we need to talk any more about it, especially in my country, Egypt. You see the highest representative from Egypt now is a lady female, okay, Dr. Jihan Saleh. So thank you for inviting me to be here today. In fact, it's a very... now it works. Okay, so I hope all the women in this room did not hear what I said before. Okay, thank you very much. It's a very nostalgic moment for me as well, because